The year was likely early 2009. It was February. Sabirji was finishing his morning tea and getting ready for work when the phone rang. He answered with a greeting, and from the other end a familiar woman's voice, sounding anxious, returned the greeting and exclaimed, "Sabir, my boy, we're in terrible trouble. We can't tell if it's a djinn or a ghost, but it's definitely supernatural, unnatural. Strange things are happening, my boy. If you could come and take a look, it would be so good if you came. I can't explain everything over the phone. You come quickly." "All right, Kalamoni, don't worry. I'll come tomorrow morning. Everything will be fine, inshallah," said Sabirji, hanging up. The next morning, he set out early for his aunt's house. By around 10 in the morning, he reached Bardhaman and parked his car by the roadside in front of his aunt's house. As he opened the gate railing to step in, he suddenly felt that someone was watching him from behind the mango tree at the southern boundary of the house. He stepped back, took his prayer beads from his pocket, wound them around his finger, recited some verses, closed his body with spiritual protection, and then entered the house's premises. By now, he understood such signs well. There was a small veranda ahead, then the main door. Sabir was visiting this house after almost 5 years. The last time was for his uncle's funeral prayer 5 years ago. There was no doubt the house was losing its former charm day by day. Weeds and small banyan shoots were sprouting in corners, along the roof cornices. His aunt was on the veranda. Seeing Sabirji, she greeted him with a smile and came down from the veranda to welcome him. Just then, out of nowhere, a crow fell right in front of her, flapping and screeching "caw, caw," before going still. Seeing this, Kalamoni screamed and was about to faint. Sabirji rushed and caught her. However, just before that, his eyes had gone to the corner of the second-floor roof for a fleeting moment. In that instant, Sabirji had no trouble recognizing it, the same monstrous, putrid, terrifying face that had been watching him from outside the gate had thrown the crow from the roof, snapping its neck to demonstrate its power. Sabirji helped his aunt inside to the drawing room, sat her down, asked the maid to bring water, and tried to calm her. Kalamoni was still breathing with difficulty, panting in fear. When the maid brought water, Sabirji himself gave her water to drink and helped her compose herself. "Don't you worry about anything, Kalamoni. I am here now. Where's Rehan? How is Roxana? And our little nephew? He must have grown so big by now." Kalamoni, back to normal, began, "What can I say, my boy? The trouble started about a week ago. At first, we thought the local goon promoters were harassing us because we refused to sell the house. But 3 days ago, the disturbances increased drastically. After your uncle passed, I, Rehan, 2 servants, and the 4 of us lived in this big house. We never had any problems. Roxana settled in America with her husband and child within a year of her father's death. She comes once a year, stays about 15 days. Her son just started first year in college. The manager comes, explains the accounts, and leaves. The promoters have been troubling us for about a year, trying to buy this house in various ways, to demolish it and build new flats. I didn't want to give it up as it holds your uncle's memories. It's their ancestral home. I came to this house after marriage."
Initially, bricks, stones and pellets would come flying out of thin air. Sometimes window panes would break, sometimes the car would be damaged. This trouble went on for a day or 2. We thought the promoters were behind it. We even filed a police diary entry. But 3 days ago we realized our mistake. That day, after dinner, I went to the roof for a walk. After walking for a few minutes, I saw the mango tree near the southern wall suddenly shake. I thought maybe a nocturnal bird was fluttering. But no, a moment later what I saw in the lamppost light was truly horrifying. A thin, monstrous, ugly, human-like figure was climbing down from the tree upside down. From the roof, I could clearly see putrid, rotting skin hanging from its face, and a dark liquid, probably blood, was dripping down. Its eyes were strangely blood-red, burning like embers. I saw the figure easily pass through the wall and enter our compound. The moment it entered, it vanished into thin air. I was almost petrified. My senses returned only at the sound of a mechanical roar from a corner of the roof. Turning, I saw the same figure that had vanished below, now standing on the roof. I screamed and came downstairs. Rehan was in his room. Hearing my scream, he rushed out. I didn't tell him anything, fearing he'd be scared. From the next day, the mayhem began. Any bird, animal or cat that entered our compound would die strangely. Fresh vegetables, fish and meat from the market would rot and melt within minutes of being cooked and kept. For the last few days, we've been barely managing by ordering food and eating it immediately. Even leftovers would spoil. We couldn't understand anything. Last night, I saw the figure lurking near Rehan's room. I even told the imam of the nearby mosque. He said it wasn't possible for him and suggested calling a senior cleric or scholar. That's when I remembered you. You handle these kinds of things. Didn't you save that madrasa teacher's family in Barosol village after Ruxana's wedding? That's why I called you. Now see what you can do, my boy. Save us from this trouble. I don't know what evil jinn we've fallen prey to. With that, Khala Muni stopped. Just then, Rehan entered the room and greeted Sabirji. "Oh, Dada, Assalamu alaikum. When did you arrive?" "Walaikum assalam, just now. How are you, Rehan? How are your studies? And where is the other one? I don't see him." At Sabirji's question, Rehan and Khala Muni all looked at him in surprise. Seeing their puzzled looks, Sabirji smiled slightly and said, "Khala Muni, you know who stays with me. My knowing this isn't unusual." The other was Rehan's friend Rahul, who was staying with them. "So, where is he now?" Overcoming their astonishment, Rehan replied, "He had a first period class today, so he went to college. He'll be back in the afternoon. I didn't go to college today. I had a tuition, finished it and came back." Sabirji, getting them back to normal, said that before he explained everything, they should freshen up. While having breakfast at the dining table, Sabirji told Khala Muni, "The problem hasn't come from outside, not from any promoter or anyone else. Someone is targeting your family. The problem came with Rahul. Tonight, inshallah, after Maghrib prayer, I will seal this house. After that, these problems will stop. But the dark shadow will remain over Rahul. A terrible evil jinn has latched on to him and followed him into your house. I can't understand the full problem until I talk to Rahul, but I'm certain of this much." With that, Sabirji stopped. Then he gave Khala Muni 2 amulets given by Ziauddin Sahib, instructing her to wear one herself and tie the other on Rehan's hand after reciting prayers. After Zuhar prayer, Rehan tied the amulet and went to the market to get items from Sabirji's list. 4 small bottles, 4 packets, sesame oil. Sabirji had brought the remaining items with him from Bardhaman. Now let's come to what conversation Sabirji had with Ziauddin Sahib before coming to Bardhaman. The night before coming to Bardhaman, after hanging up Khala Muni's call, Sabirji was somewhat worried. Returning from work in the evening, he remembered Ziauddin Sahib and dozed off. In his dream, he saw a boy entering Khala Muni's house. His face was blurred, but a monstrous, ugly, human-like figure entered behind him. Immediately the room filled with black smoke. As the smoke cleared, the scene he saw made him scream in terror. He saw the boy lying on the floor with his throat slit and Khala Muni and Rehan hanging from the ceiling, also brutally slashed. Sabirji screamed and opened his eyes to see Ziauddin Sahib standing before him. He looked at Ziauddin Sahib in a daze. Ziauddin Sahib calmed him down, vanished and returned a few minutes later. "Sabir, what you saw in your dream is just a premonition of future danger and a play of illusions. The problem is not in your aunt's house, nor has anyone cast any black magic or anything on them. The problem has walked into your aunt's house. About 10 days ago, your cousin's friend, a boy named Rahul, came to stay with them. The problem entered with him. This evil jinni doesn't perform riyaz, spiritual exercises. It harms whoever it finds in front of it. So, if it stays in that house longer, it will harm your aunt and your cousin. We must seal the house soon. However, I can't understand where this jinni originated or why it is following Rahul. For now, you go tomorrow and seal the house. After the Maghrib call to prayer, recite surahs, fill 4 bottles with sesame oil. I am giving you Medina perfume to mix in, seal them and bury them at the 4 corners. Also sprinkle Zamzam water throughout the house. Additionally, I am giving 2 amulets for your aunt and cousin to wear until the problem with Rahul is resolved. Since the jinni has once cast its eye on them, there's a chance they could be harmed. Tomorrow try to get the whole story from Rahul. I think Rahul is hiding something from Rehan."
With that, Ziauddin Sahib said goodbye and vanished.
By around 1 in the afternoon, Rehan returned with all the items and handed them to Sabirji. Rahul hadn't returned yet. He was supposed to be back in the afternoon. Before Rahul's arrival, Sabirji clearly instructed Rehan and Kalamoni not to question Rahul suddenly. He would talk to Rahul after sealing the house after Maghrib. Since the Jinni came with Rahul, questioning him before sealing the house might alert him. As mentioned earlier, cooking in Kalamoni's house had become impossible. They were barely managing by ordering food. Around 1:45, food delivery arrived from a familiar hotel. Rehan got up to get it, but Sabirji stopped him. "You sit, I'll bring it." He knew the Jinni might be nearby and could spoil the food. Sabirji brought the packet to the dining table. They were all waiting for Rahul. As usual, Rahul arrived at 2:30. He was initially surprised to see Sabirji. Later, Rehan explained everything. Then they all ate together. Rehan and Rahul were in suppressed excitement. Time seemed to crawl. Meanwhile, several more pairs of birds fell dead in the courtyard with a thud. The maid was cleaning them up fearfully. Evening came. After Maghrib prayer, Sabirji proceeded with his plan to sprinkle Zamzam water around the property. Just then, the sky shook with a tremendous storm. The wind was so strong it was impossible to stand outside. His prayer beads became hot like fire. In the wind, the Zamzam water bottle flew and fell into the courtyard, mixing with the soil. Simultaneously, from the second-floor cornice, a black monstrous figure laughed. Its eyes were blazing, and black smoke emanated from its body. Only Sabirji could see this figure. At that moment, Sabirji's head grew hot. He was about to start reciting Surah Ikhlas and raise his prayer beads when he felt a cold touch on his neck. Ziauddin Sahib stopped him. "Sabir, what are you doing? Control your nerves. The Jinni will show its tricks. Since Rahul is here, the evil Jinni will never want me to stop it. Sprinkle a few drops of Medina perfume, that will do, and quickly bury the bottles at the 4 corners of the property." With that, Ziauddin Sahib floated away into the air. Meanwhile, Kalamoni and Rehan were loudly reciting a specific surah as instructed by Sabirji. Suddenly, they all heard a tremendous commotion on the roof. Sabirji told Rehan to hurry and bury the bottles. The servant had already dug 4 holes at the 4 corners. Sabirji recited surahs and buried the bottles one by one in the holes. Immediately, the storm stopped. I forgot to mention earlier, Sabirji had said the storm seemed to be happening only inside the property at that moment. Outside the lamppost light, not a leaf stirred.
As the storm ceased, Sabirji asked Halamoni, Rahul, and Rehan to go inside, saying he would join shortly. As they went in, Ziauddin Sahib appeared. He looked exhausted and was panting like a human. "Sabir, this is no ordinary evil Jinni. It is the result of many years of sadhana by a Hindu priest or tantric. Confronting it won't be easy. For now, the Jinni has left here, but I couldn't destroy it completely. I couldn't manage properly either. I'm going to my realm to understand more. Meanwhile, you listen to the whole story from Rahul. There's something Rahul can tell us. Perhaps we'll find a way from there." With that, Ziauddin Sahib left. As Sabirji entered the house, he saw Halamoni, Rehan, and Rahul sitting in the drawing room. Sabirji reassured them that the Jinni had left the property, but the danger over Rahul remained. Hearing this, Rahul was startled and asked frantically, "What do you mean? Why would there be a Jinni shadow over me? I've only seen these things since coming here." Hearing Rahul's words, Halamoni and Rehan looked at him in amazement. It was clear from Rahul's eyes and face that he was scared and hiding something. Sabirji asked Rahul to calm down and slowly explained that the Jinni had come with him. Something had happened in his family that he was hiding. Hearing everything, Rahul quieted down and sat silently on the sofa. Rahul began in a low voice, "I can't say if there's any evil Jinni's hand in this, but for the last 6 months, some things have been happening in our family that are very sad and terrifying. 6 months ago, my uncle died. Uncle has 2 daughters, Ria and Tia. Ria was supposed to take her secondary exams this year, but because of everything happening, she dropped out. 2 months ago, her younger sister Tia died in an abnormal way. According to the police post-mortem report, Tia's heartbeat stopped due to some sudden shock. More incidents happened, which I'll tell you now. My ancestral home is in a village near Bolpur. We're not zamindars, but since my grandfather's time, our assets aren't insignificant. About 100 bighas of land, a rice mill, ready-made garments in the city. Even now, my father and his brother were the only 2. There's no sister. A year after my birth, both my parents died in a car accident. My grandfather was no more. Since then, I was raised by my grandmother. Later, when my aunt came, my uncle and aunt raised me like their own child. We also have a house in Bardhaman. I was in class 8 then. For the sake of my studies and the little cousin's good education, Grandma insisted on sending us to Bardhaman. So we stayed in Bardhaman, the 2 sisters, aunt and I. Uncle and Grandma stayed in the village, looking after the land and business. However, he stayed with us twice a week because of the business in Bardhaman.
About 2 years ago, Grandma died of natural old age. After her death, I learned that she had willed half the ancestral home, half the land, half the rice mill, the Bardhaman house, and the ready-made garments business in my name. Uncle had no objection. They always treated me like their own son, and they had no son of their own. Even after Grandma's death, Uncle mostly stayed in the village, coming to Bardhaman once or twice a week as usual. Everything was fine until the incident 6 months ago. That time, Aunt went to the village house with the 2 sisters about a week. Since I was supposed to come in the morning, Gurudev had advised against informing me at night. Actually, I lost my parents before I gained consciousness, so I don't remember them. Since gaining consciousness, I've known uncle and aunt as my parents. Who knows what I might have done alone in Bardhaman if I found out at night? The ghat work was completed by evening. I performed the last rites. Then Gurudev told aunt to complete the Shraddha rituals quickly and take the children to Bardhaman. Something had happened with uncle, but Gurudev couldn't yet figure out if it was some evil force. Aunt didn't believe in these things, but how could she disobey Gurudev? No one in our family ever has. Aunt agreed. Besides, it was a house of mourning. There would be no puja, so no need to stay. Following Gurudev's advice, we completed the Shraddha Shanti rituals after 13 days and all came to the Bardhaman house. We have a trusted servant Harihor Kaka who oversees the farming, and the mill manager comes periodically to explain the accounts. During those 13 days, nothing major happened, but minor incidents, sounds, newly bought bulbs fusing, seeing someone standing in the dark. I had noticed such minor things. Gurudev had said such minor things can happen in a house where someone died an unnatural death until the Shraddha Shanti is performed. But Tia was very scared. Even after returning to Bardhaman, her fear didn't subside. Until she was admitted in the hospital, Tia faced many supernatural incidents which I later heard from aunt. Tia never returned from the hospital. 2 months ago, she had a shocking death in the hospital. The doctor said she was so terrified of something that her heart stopped. What kind of fear she faced in the hospital, I don't know. I also faced some incidents in the hospital. But let me first tell you what I heard from aunt. Aunt said after returning from Bolpur, Tia would mutter things, sit alone, and constantly tell aunt that her father had come to take her. One day, she dreamt of a blazing fire, and from within it, a burned human-like figure emerged and approached Tia. She saw the figure slowly taking her father's form. The skin was melting and falling off. Bones were visible. The figure gestured that it would take Tia with it. Tia woke up screaming. After that, she wouldn't sleep with Ria anymore. She slept downstairs with aunt. I slept in one of 3 rooms on the 2nd floor. One day, after studying, I went to sleep a bit late, around 1:15 a.m. Suddenly, I heard laughter downstairs, like a child laughing. At this hour? The only child in this house is Tia. What is Tia doing on the stairs at this hour? Thinking this, I quickly got up and stepped out of my room. As I stepped onto the stairs, I looked down and saw Tia talking to someone. but I couldn't make out who was on the other side. Tia was repeatedly refusing someone, saying won't go. There was a light switch besides the stairs. The moment I turned it on, an incident occurred. I clearly saw someone suddenly gave Tia a sharp tug. Tia tumbled down the stairs to the ground floor. I screamed and immediately ran downstairs to call the servant Ria and aunt. My scream brought them out. Going down, I saw Tia unconscious on the floor, her head split open and injured. We immediately took Tia to the hospital that night. She was operated at dawn. Strangely, both her legs were broken. How both legs broke from falling down those few stairs, I don't know. Her head was also split, requiring 6 stitches. Aunt was crying inconsolably. Due to hospital matters, Aunt stayed during the day, but night I sent her home, reassuring me I would stay. I got permission to sit on a bench in the corridor. It was late at night. I don't know the time, maybe 2:15 or 2:30. Suddenly I heard a terrible scream from the 3rd floor. We were on the 4th floor. The hospital was deeply silent at that hour. Whose scream could it be? Unconsciously curious, I went step by step down the stairs to the 3rd floor. I saw the light at a distant corner flickering strangely. I saw an empty stretcher moving on its own from below, advancing, receding. My heart was pounding, but gathering courage for some reason, I went forward. What I saw through the corner room's window, I was not at all prepared for. I saw the room was empty, nothing. But in an instant, a curtain entered the room through the window. I stood petrified, watching everything. The curtain slowly took the form of a rotten, monstrous, terrifying figure. That figure was familiar, a glimpse I had seen a few months ago. It was Uncle's decomposed form. I screamed in terror and tried to run but couldn't. Someone invisible seemed to be holding me back. I screamed and lost consciousness. When I regained consciousness, security was calling me. They said they had been searching the entire hospital for me since morning and found me lying in that abandoned corridor. That part of the hospital was closed for renovation, so no one usually comes here. When I truly opened my eyes and looked around, I saw various work materials scattered around. But at night, everything here was clean and normal. Security said, "You go upstairs quickly, everything is over." "What is over?" I asked frantically and ran upstairs. I saw Aunt and Ria crying. Ria's maternal uncle was also there. He said everything was over. Tia was gone. I couldn't look at Tia's face. Her mouth was agape, eyes bulging out, as if about to pop out. Her body had stiffened. The doctor said he couldn't understand properly, but it seemed she saw something, was terribly frightened, got a shock, and her heart suddenly stopped, causing death. Hearing the whole incident from me, Aunt became very scared. We called Gurudev that same day. The body wasn't taken to the village house. Cremation was done in Bardhaman itself. After the Shraddha Shanti rituals a few days later, Ria also started seeing that terrifying figure occasionally.
Ria bollo one day while returning from school, a person wrapped in a shawl approached her at the gate and suddenly grabbed her hand. As Ria screamed, the shawl slipped from the face. According to her description, that decomposed, terrifying face was exactly like her father's. We immediately informed Gurudev. Gurudev still couldn't figure out exactly where the problem was originating. He came to our house that night, performed some Gyan, Homa, Shanti rituals and told Aunt, "See mother, someone has awakened this terrible evil power, but I haven't been able to figure out who or for what purpose. It would be good if you leave this house. I will seal it. Keep this talisman. Then at least the Jinni won't be able to come near you. But since this house is connected to your lineage and I still haven't pinpointed the root of the problem, staying here would be risky. Go to your father's house in Katwa. Rahul will shift to the college hostel until the problem is resolved." Accordingly, Aunt and Ria went to Katwa and I shifted to the college hostel. Exams were ahead. Studies wouldn't go well staying in the hostel, so Rehan practically forced me to come stay at their house. Believe me, Dada, I didn't know the Jinni would follow me and come to this house. Since there are many people in the hostel, maybe it didn't come there, or I didn't notice. Though I occasionally saw a person wrapped in a shawl, I didn't pay much attention then. Aunt and Ria were relatively fine in Katwa. No problem occurred there, so I also forgot about all this.
After coming here, initially Aunt thought maybe promoters were disturbing. I thought so too. Then food started spoiling, dead animals and birds started falling in the courtyard. I was feeling scared, but I couldn't imagine that the Jinni had followed me here. Actually, ultimately Rehan is of one religion, I am of another, so maybe I thought nothing would happen here. Spoiling food, dead animals and birds falling, these were the first things I saw. Before this, such things never happened in our house. The rest you know. With that, Rahul stopped. Sabbir-ji reassured Rahul by saying, Inshallah, if Allah wills, everything will be fine. The Jinni never wins permanently. It may show temporary power, but can never ultimately succeed. Whether in your religion or mine, evil is evil. Don't worry about anything. I want to visit your Bardhaman house tomorrow. Then Rahul and Rehan went to rest. Sabbir-ji also reassured Khala Mani and went to the guest room.
Suddenly, in a chilling cold breeze, Sabbir was startled to see the car speeding through dense jungles and fields. A tantric-looking person sat beside him, pointing the way. Sabbir-ji himself was driving. He watched in amazement. Occasionally the tantric would look at him and say in a grave voice that they had to reach the spot before dawn to save Rahul's family. Don't delay, drive faster. Sabbir-ji felt like saying something but couldn't. The car seemed to be speeding on its own. A little later the tantric informed that they would reach Bolpur shortly. After crossing the Ajay River bridge, the car suddenly stopped. Sabbir-ji saw smoke coming from the front bonnet. But why did this happen? The car was quite fine, recently serviced, Sabbir-ji thought to himself. Getting out and opening the bonnet, it was clear the engine had somehow malfunctioned. A few kilometers remained to reach Bolpur. Maybe some vehicle arrangement could be made there. Thinking this, they stepped towards Bolpur. Just then he noticed a car coming from behind. Sabbir-ji raised his hand to stop the car. At that moment he realized the tantric had suddenly pushed him from behind. A little more and the car would have run him over. Sabbir-ji was struggling with all his might to free himself but couldn't. His breathing was gradually being cut off. Just then the prayer beads in his pocket became hot. Along with that, a scuffling sound from behind. Then a cold touch. Peace returned in an instant. The dream broke. He saw Ziauddin Sahib standing. Before Sabbir could say anything, he said, Sabbir, this Jinni is a powerful evil spirit from Hindu religion whose power we have no idea about. It has started showing you its illusory play to mislead you. It tried to harm you in the dream. By Allah's mercy you survived. Come now, let's perform ablution and pray Fajr. Inshallah, you will go to Rahul's house in the morning. Let's see what happens. Don't worry, something will be arranged. Then they both performed ablution and prayed Fajr. Early in the morning, without further delay, after breakfast, Sabbir-ji set out for Rahul's Bardhaman house with Rahul and Rehan. On the way, he tied an amulet on Rahul's hand, similar to Rehan's, which Ziauddin Sahib had given in the morning. Within 20 minutes, they reached Rahul's house. Fearing danger, Sabbir-ji left Rahul and Rehan outside the boundary and entered alone. The caretaker had already opened the lock earlier. After Rahul left, they would come during the day, clean, and leave. Inside the house, silence reigned everywhere, so quiet you could hear a pin drop. Sabbir-ji looked around the ground floor for a few minutes. Suddenly, he heard a thud from upstairs. He clearly knew no one was in this house. Then who was making the sound? The stairs from inside the drawing room spiraled upwards. Looking towards the first-floor corridor, it seemed someone had moved away. Going upstairs, for a moment Sabbir-ji was startled. The first-floor floor was splattered with bloodstains, as if a child had run around with bloodied feet. He knew the Jinni had started its illusory play. Immediately, he wound the prayer beads around his finger. As per Ziauddin Sahib's instruction, he recited a specific surah and stepped cautiously. At one point, he suddenly heard a gurgling sound, as if someone was speaking. Following that direction, he saw 3 photo frames on the wall fall and shatter into pieces from below. As per Raoul's account, in the room where Ria and Tia stayed, Sabirji went that way. The door was closed. However, no matter how hard he pushed, the door wouldn't open. Finally, Sabirji recited some surahs loudly and touched the door with his prayer beads. Immediately, the door opened. He saw something placed on the floor in a circular pattern. As Sabirji stepped into the room, he again heard the sound of a child's laughter from behind. Turning back, he saw the monstrous figure standing, smiling creepily. Dark blood was dripping from its ugly, rotting face onto the floor drop by drop. Until now, Sabirji had faced many evil Djinn, but that day he felt a slight tremor in his chest. His body was becoming numb. Sabirji leaned against the wall and sat on a nearby chair. He wound the prayer beads and, reciting some surahs, raised them towards the jinni. For a moment the figure vanished, but Sabirji couldn't get up from the chair immediately. Taking Allah's name, he sat dazed for a while. A little later, he heard some people conversing in the corridor. Opening his eyes, he shuddered. He understood whatever was happening before him was all illusory play, yet that terrifying sight was unbearable. Sabirji saw Raoul, a woman, a teenage girl, probably Raoul's aunt and sister Ria, hanging themselves with nooses one after another. Sabirji tried to scream but couldn't. Just then, Ziauddin Sahib called him from behind in a low voice, pulled him straight downstairs, and they immediately left the house. While leaving, Ziauddin Sahib said, "The jinni was trying to control you. I can't figure out how to subdue this power, but whoever sent this power wants to wipe out Raoul's lineage. Its power is immense. Leave this place now. We'll talk at night." Seeing Sabirji come out in a shattered state, Raoul and Rehan became worried. When asked what happened, without saying anything, Sabirji headed towards Kalamoni's house with them. While leaving Rahul's house, Sabirji once looked back. He saw the figure standing on the veranda laughing. As they crossed the neighborhood lane and were about to turn right onto the main road, someone called Rahul from about 20-25 feet away. Even from that distance, the man with matted hair seemed somewhat familiar to Sabirji. He felt he had seen him somewhere, but before he could figure it out, Rahul said, "Their Gurudev," and went to introduce him. Sabirji was startled, remembering. He was about to speak when the Gurudev said gravely, "Not now. I'm taking Rahul to the temple. I'll come to your house in the evening to talk." Before anyone could say more, the matted-haired man took Rahul's hand and led him away. Rahul couldn't say anything. Sabir felt uneasy. Ziauddin Sahib wasn't managing to handle the problem properly. How would this problem be solved? He himself couldn't understand. Walking in the opposite direction, he thought he would turn and look at Rahul, and as he did, he saw the elderly Gurudev also turning his head and looking at him at that moment. That gaze held such discomfort. Not much was said on the road with Rehan. They returned home. After lunch, Sabirji was pacing, his mind unable to calm down. Rahul wasn't answering his phone. What was happening? Nothing could be understood. Meanwhile, after returning to Kalamoni's house, Sabirji had tried to remember Ziauddin Sahib several times, but he wasn't coming at that moment. In the evening, as the doorbell rang, everyone looked questioningly towards the door. They saw the same matted-haired elderly man in red Punjabi standing, greeting with namaskar and asking permission to enter. Sabirji welcomed him and brought him inside, but his mind was still anxious. Rahul wasn't there. Before the elderly man could speak, Sabirji asked, "Where is Rahul?" Hearing the question, Acharya Mashai said curiously and anxiously, "What? Rahul told me to come to this house in the evening and even gave the address. Where is Rahul?" Hearing Acharya Mashai's words, Sabirji immediately got up and, before anyone could say anything, said they needed to go to Rahul's house with him immediately. No time to waste, he'd explain everything on the way. Accordingly, they set out. On the way, Sabirji explained the entire morning's incident to Acharya Mashai. Acharya Mashai said, "I have found the source of the problem. Now, planning the solution method remains. But before that, we must find Rahul."
When the evil Jinni's illusion is upon his lineage, the Jinni must have taken Rahul and hidden him somewhere in their house. Without delay, head straight to Rahul's house. They reached Rahul's house as evening set in. The streets and houses had lamplights, but no light was on in Rahul's house. It looked like a city of the dead. Opening the railing gate and entering, they heard Rahul's agonized screams coming from the roof. Immediately, Sabir rushed inside. Upon entering, a strange thing caught everyone's eye. In the drawing room, a circular boundary drawn with blood, and inside it, a swastika symbol drawn. Acharya Mashai cried out, "God, this is a death circle!" Without delay, everyone rushed to the roof. They saw Rahul embedded in the wall, hanging as if someone had hung him on the wall. As they reached him, Sabirji sprinkled Medina perfume on him. Immediately, Rahul fell from the wall like the broken frames in the morning and onto the floor, and something like black smoke vanished from within him into the darkness. Acharya Mashai was continuously chanting mantras. Then they brought Rahul to Khalamoni's house, carrying him.
Around 2:30 at night, Rahul regained consciousness. Regaining consciousness, Rahul trembled in terror and said, "Gurudev called me and took me inside the house compound. After that, I remember nothing. When I regained consciousness, I saw I was hanging in mid-air against the wall. Uncle's decomposed form was giving a creepy smile and saying today was my last day. I screamed in agony. Then you came upstairs." Hearing this, Sabirji became worried. How would he resolve this? He couldn't understand anything. At that time, Rahul's Gurudev, Acharya Mashai, said, "I have found out who sent this Jinni. I'll say about that later. Now, how to finish this Jinni, that needs to be thought about. The problem is, whoever sent this Jinni, or under whose order it came, is no longer in this world, so the method to free or release this Jinni from that death circle is also quite complex. I have to go to Tarakit to perform a special yajna ceremony, but I can't manage alone. Sabir, you will also have to help me in this matter." Meanwhile, another round of tea had been served. Taking a sip, Sabirji was about to tell Acharya Mashai about last night's dream when Acharya Mashai spoke first. "Look, Sabir, the Supreme Being is one and non-dual. He is your great Allah, my Ishwar. Just as you worship him, I have been worshipping for 50 years. By his grace, I have attained some powers, because of which I know exactly what dream you saw last night, what the Jinni showed you, and I also know a pure angel is always with you. I realized that after meeting you. To complete this action, your help is essential. To mislead you, it showed you that dream. It prepared my image negatively before you to create a misunderstanding. Tomorrow is the new moon night. Tomorrow night, we will perform a special yajna ceremony at Parapit. You will be present there with Rahul and me, because without you, I won't be able to draw that Jinni near the yajna, and request the pure angel with you to protect Rahul's aunt and sister in Katwa. The Jinni will desperately try to play its final game, and we must not let it play that at any cost. Oh, and we will go to Tarapit by a slightly longer route. The path you saw in the dream, going that way won't be convenient, so we'll leave here by noon." With that, Acharya Mashai stopped. Arrangements were made for him to sleep at Kalamoni's house that night. At night, after everyone slept, Sabirji was still awake, sitting on the couch, troubled. Since evening, he had tried many times to remember Ziauddin Sahib, but he wasn't coming. Sabirji got up and paced the veranda restlessly. Just then, Ziauddin Sahib appeared and said gravely, "Whatever Acharya Mashai said is correct. Whoever awakened this Jinni is no longer in this world. Therefore, stopping the Jinni is very difficult. That's why I couldn't find a solution. Since the evil Jinni is from another religion, I didn't know the exact method either. We should proceed as Acharya Mashai said. Rahul's aunt and daughter will be guarded and protected by my group of Djinn. One group will also be at your aunt's house for protection, so no problem arises there either. When Acharya Mashai sits for the yajna, you stay around that area and do not let go of Rahul's hand under any circumstances. At the opportune time, the Jinni might try to pull Rahul somehow.
I will be there." With that, Ziauddin Sahib left. The next morning, as usual, everyone got ready. Raihan wanted to go, but Sabir told him not to, asking him to stay with Kalamoni. Acharya Mashai, Rahul, and Sabirji came to the veranda. Ziauddin Sahib and his group appeared. One group would guard Kalamoni's house, as mentioned earlier. Who would stay where was decided. Acharya Mashai couldn't see Ziauddin Sahib or his disciples with his own eyes, but according to him, he sensed several points of light. He told Sabirji, "Sabir, please convey my thanks and respect to the Djinn with you. Let's go."
Acharya Mashai had said going via Bolpur could be problematic, so they decided to go towards Tarapith via the Katwa road, through Khargram. The road conditions weren't very good. By the time they reached Sundarpur, it was around 2 in the afternoon. Acharya Mashai was quite worried. If they didn't reach Tarapith by evening, they wouldn't be able to finish the puja before the last watch. So they quickly ate lunch at a restaurant in Sundarpur and set out again. Acharya Mashai didn't eat anything. Actually, for sitting in the yajna, he was on a strict fast without water. Barely 10 minutes later, after crossing the Mayurakshi river bridge, suddenly a tremendous storm shook the sky and air. Suspicion arose. Was the dream about to come true? But in the dream, the incident happened on the river and at night. Now it was broad daylight. Acharya Mashai said gravely, "Whatever happens, Sabir, don't stop the car. Your suspicion is correct. The jinni is following." Amidst the severe storm and rain, the car managed to move forward. Suddenly, a huge branch of a banyan tree by the roadside cracked and was about to fall right on the car. But miraculously, the tree leaned halfway and got stuck. Although Mashai or Rahul couldn't see it, Sabir saw Ziauddin Sahib holding the branch back with his power. He gestured to Sabir to keep driving forward. By the time they reached Tarapith, evening had set in. Several miles away from the town, in an abandoned cremation ground surrounded by bushes and jungles, by the time they reached, darkness was beginning to deepen. Sabirji saw Acharya Mashai's 2 disciples had already prepared for the puja yajna, drawing a circular boundary with vermilion, arranging various materials inside, tying 2 torches to tree branches nearby. Acharya Mashai informed, "Whoever awakened this terrible human jinni is no longer alive. However, he was a vile, greedy, sinister tantric, no doubt. He awakened this human jinni by performing yajna at this abandoned cremation ground and offered Rahul's lineage's blood as sacrifice. Additionally, he filled a small bottle with some blood and buried it somewhere in this cremation ground. That's where this jinni is imprisoned. Until it is freed and destroyed in battle, there is no escape. For months I tried in various ways but couldn't find the source of the problem. 3 days ago, while worshipping Mother Tara, suddenly I clearly saw these scenes in my mind. But completing the yajna ceremony alone wasn't possible for me. And then I heard about you from Rahul's mouth, how you temporarily subdued the jinni. Our religions may be different, but humanity's religion is one. And whatever religion it may be, there is no barrier for us to fight these evil jinn, ghosts, demons. When I sit for the yajna, the jinni will definitely come to obstruct. Sabir, see that the jinni does not enter this boundary before the last watch." After that, Acharya Mashai started the yajna ceremony inside the circular boundary at the designated spot.
Meanwhile, Rahul was very worried hearing about his lineage's blood. Acharya Mashai reassured him and instructed to make Rahul stand inside another circle and not let him step out under any circumstances. Belief or disbelief, everything is upon Allah's will. Perhaps this is another religion ceremony, but Sabirji would try his best from his position. Ziauddin Sahib had said this was some powerful Hindu jinn, so Sabirji would trust Acharya Mashai and follow his instructions, staying outside the yajna ceremony area. Deep night was beginning. The continuous offerings and mantra chanting filled the surroundings. Meanwhile, Sabirji continued reciting prayers and supplications his way. The atmosphere of the abandoned cremation ground became enveloped in a kind of illusion. A little later, suddenly from the darkness, as if from nowhere, half-burnt funeral pyre logs flew and fell towards the yajna.
But everyone present saw, strangely, the logs got stuck just outside the boundary. Ziauddin Sahib now informed Sabirji, I have sealed both Rahul's Bolpur house and Bardaman house. One group is guarding Katwa and another at your aunt's house. It seems Acharya Mashai will be able to subdue it. We just need to help him so the jinni cannot go that way. Just at that moment, a tremendous storm arose, changing the surroundings. Yet outside the cremation ground, silence reigned, but inside, everything seemed about to be blown away. Sabirji shouted, Acharya Mashai, don't stop under any circumstances. Don't let the evil jinni come near you. Ziauddin Sahib said, Sabir, you quickly try to keep the jinni outside. This way they kept the jinni outside. After proceeding like this for some time, at the last watch of the night, Acharya Mashai told his disciples to dig a 1-arm depth hole next to the old ash-covered mound in the south of the cremation ground and bring up an earthen pot from below. Although Sabirji watched the whole incident in amazement, he never stopped reciting surahs his way. He saw, inside the earthen pot, small dried blackened blood spots. Strangely, as soon as Acharya Mashai offered that bottle's essence into the fire with some special mantras, an astonishing event occurred. The funeral pyre logs and the surrounding environment whirled, the storm swirling and merging into the fire pit. Immediately, the fire went out and a roar gradually dissolved into the pit. Just then, the call for Fajr prayer echoed from a distant mosque. Sabirji and Ziauddin Sahib exclaimed together, Alhamdulillah, the jinni has been annihilated. The elderly man, having sat in one position all night, couldn't get up. Acharya Mashai's disciples came and helped him up. Taking God's name, he said, the jinni has been reduced to ashes. Meanwhile, Sabirji went to Acharya Mashai and said that Ziauddin Sahib had sealed the Bolpur and Bardaman houses. No problems would occur in future, inshallah. Then, seeking permission from Acharya Mashai, Sabirji and Ziauddin Sahib performed Fajr prayer with raised hands by the nearby pond. After praying, by the time they started the car, the eastern sky was turning crimson.
On the way back, Acharya Mashai said, a vile black magic practitioner, through sinister means, had imprisoned and sent this evil vampire jinni. Actually, it was Rahul's own uncle. 2 years ago, when the one-sided share of property went to Rahul, his uncle became enraged and, desiring to enjoy the entire property himself, sought the help of a sinister tantric to send this vile bottled vampire against Rahul. But according to the terms, he couldn't provide a 5-year-old child in time, so the jinni turned enraged and attacked Rahul's uncle. Then that form frightened Tia and finished her, and later tried to finish Ria but wasn't successful. The jinni wanted to wipe out Rahul's lineage one by one. But you and your companion, helping them in time, by God's grace, we came to know the whole matter. With your help, we could finish this jinni today. Now there is no evil eye on Rahul. With that, Acharya Mashai stopped. Sabir said, no matter how much the jinni spreads its illusory influence, by the grace of the Almighty Allah, one day it will be completely uprooted. Then, reaching Bardhaman, Sabirji explained the whole incident to Khala Moni, bid farewell to everyone, and Acharya Mashai and Rahul went to Rahul's Bardhaman house. Staying there that night, Sabirji returned to Kolkata the next day.